Welcome to Vsb News Online for Monday, January the 12th. I'm Charles Webb. Shadow Seniors Minister Derek Burgess called today for the OBA government to pay heed to recent revelations in the media about the poor conditions that exist in many residential and nursing homes. He told Vsb News' Brian Darby that an independent authority was needed to monitor the way seniors were treated.
Well, it's a bit disheartening because our seniors, they have had what they paid the price. They've done their duty to this country. Now, at a time when they need us, they're being, in my opinion, neglected in some very important areas. Neglected when they can't really do for themselves and have to be put in a home, because I think most families and most seniors would prefer to live out their lives at home. And research will indicate to you that people that live home live longer than being put in a rest home. Between January and October, 34 complaints were made, but nothing was done. There is some very, very serious abuses of the law, of the treatment of people that has occurred in seniors' homes, and nothing has been done. I had to call right to the Premier in order to get his minutes to answer, and that was in August. And even though I wrote to the Premier in August, I still didn't get a reply to October. And I wrote to the minister again 5 weeks ago today, and still haven't had a reply to that letter. So if the minister is overwhelmed with other things in her ministry, maybe they need to have someone, and as I had suggested, they should have an independent body, independent of government, to regulate these rest homes, funded by government, but have them regulate these rest homes.
In reply to Mr. Burgess's criticism, Health Minister Jeannie Atherton pointed out that when she became the minister, she made a public commitment to increase inspections at the residential nursing homes and increase the protection against abuse.
I think what we have to remind ourselves is that the changes that we made have to start to take effect. And unfortunately, a lot of the things that have been brought up have been things that happened in the past, and therefore the changes could not have helped the things that in the past. They would have helped them if they had been implemented, but obviously they weren't. And so right now, I think when I was back then, I reminded everybody of the improvements that we had in terms of the scheduled visits, that it wasn't just the one visit, which is for regulation to make sure that you are getting your registration, but 2 unscheduled visits. And on top of that, since that point in time, which was the middle of the year, we've had 25 unscheduled visits to the 19 restrooms. So we're doing what we said. We didn't just say we were going to do it. We've actually been doing that. And I also mentioned that we were going to have management services do a review of NOSPECT. I just received the report at the end of the year. So now I have a document that I can look at and start to use it as a guideline for making changes to the staffing, making changes to how we go forward. Obviously, our vision is still the same. We want to make sure that seniors in Bermuda age well. We want to make sure that they age in their homes as much as possible. We want to make sure that the resources are out there. You have to try and anticipate the aging changes. We understand there are more and more elderly people that are living longer. So it's more and living longer. On top of that, we know that dementia is becoming a real issue and real concern. So we're trying to look at the population that we have to try and service and see what we can do to, where government is involved, try and make it up to the best level. Where we're not involved, but we regulate, try and make sure that the regulations are maintained to a proper standard. And I think there's one thing that which is why we have the meetings with the administrators. We believe that if we can help them improve their standards, then that's beneficial to everybody. But the thing that I think I want to stress is the fact that we've been working, the national office been working with Age Concern. We realized that the ability to work towards certification or accreditation is another step that we're going to try and move forward. Because if you know that your particular home is accredited, then it says something to you, and it's a standard that that can be held up to, and it means that we're getting it to that level that we want it to be.
And if it doesn't, you take your chances.
Well, not only that, but I think once you start working towards a standard, the minimum standard's going to be what it should be to keep you in business, what it is to keep you to get your license for the next year. And so that's going to be something that it's not going to be taking your chances. It's going to be us saying that if the standard says that you're supposed to do this, this, and this, and you're not upholding the standard, this is a length of time that we're going to give you to turn around and get up to that standard. These are the resources that we can direct you to, because the care of the individual is very important. We want to make sure that our seniors are properly cared for.
Bermuda's world-famous beach at Horseshoe Bay is leading the field in the current Reader's Choice Award program being organized by the USA Today newspaper to select the best beach in the Caribbean, with 21 days to go before the voting deadline. Horseshoe Bay is positioned at number 1, followed by Baby Beach, Aruba, 7 Mile Beach, Grand Cayman, BVI Sandy Point, St. Croix, U.S. Virgins, and Shoal Bay, Anguilla. 20 Caribbean beaches chosen by the travel editor of the USA Today are on the top 20 list, from which readers can select daily their favorite beach. Recent complaints received by Vsb News about the state of the Horseshoe Bay public toilets do not appear happily to have much of a negative effect on the beach's popularity. Today was the first full day of boot camp for the 115 new soldiers, 60 of them volunteers, of the Bermuda Regiment's Golden Generation. And as they adjusted themselves to the 2 weeks ahead of regimental life, Company Sergeant Major Chauncey Durham told VSB's Adrian Smith that thus far, all is looking good.
I'm anticipating, it seems like a pretty keen bunch of soldiers, so I'm anticipating a fairly interesting recruit camp. Seem to have a few more, well, not seem to, but have quite a few more female recruits this year, so the challenges of getting them to, or the boys to keep up with the females is the challenge thus far.
And I mean, it's only a day in, but how's it looking so far?
Like I said, they're a keen bunch of soldiers. As with anything brand new, it's not something that they've normally done. So you're starting to see the few aches and pains because the body's not used to such arduous work, but they're getting on with it.
And what's it like working with nearly 60 volunteers this year?
The volunteer system is very, very easy because they ask to come, they tend to not seem to resent being here. So working with them is a lot easier.
With the end of conscription looking as if it is a foregone conclusion, Adrian also had a word with the Commander-in-Chief, Governor George Ferguson.
Having gone around and looked at some of the recruits, how are you feeling about this year's camp?
Very positive, and they seem to be very positive as well. There's a higher proportion of volunteers this year, and you'd expect them to be positive. But even talking to some of the people who've been drafted, they seem pretty cheery at the moment. Even positive comments about the food, which was encouraging.
And we have conscription ending or wanting to be ended, and what are your feelings, having walked around here, about that whole situation?
The ideal way of getting rid of conscription is to have enough volunteers that you don't need conscription, which was the original wording of the legislation. But I think the extra efforts in the last couple of years to get more volunteers have been pretty successful. We've gone up from under 10 when I first arrived to over 20, over 40, and this year over 60. And I think that helps to change the atmosphere within the regiment, and that makes it more attractive for yet more volunteers to come here in the future.
Bermuda Tourism Authority Chief Executive Officer Bill Henry accepts that a number of the goals set in the National Tourism Plan were unrealistic and that it will be necessary to rethink them in the year ahead. He spoke about this and the difficulty Bermuda faces in keeping airline services in the winter months when he spoke with me.
It's still a defining document for the Bermuda Tourism Authority. We're still spending a lot of time looking at and being guided by the National Tourism Plan. The foundational pieces of that are critical to what the BTA is doing. What I would suggest to you, though, is that we've had to do a recalibration on the numbers because the numbers just were not realistic. And so our business intelligence group, our research team has gone back in and recalibrated on the numbers, and the tourism economy is not going to double in the next 10 years. It's just not going to happen. We could see 25 to 30% growth over the next 10 years, but you're never going to see Bermuda tourism playing a defining role in total GDP like it did many, many years ago. That's not to suggest that Bermuda tourism isn't really important to the national economy, because it is. It's just as important to the national psyche, in my opinion. Many, many people realize that how we portray Bermuda to the world, to the consumer world, is how people think about Bermuda. And proud Bermudians want us to do a great job of telling the Bermuda story to the world, and we're making a concerted effort to do that in a realistic and authentic way.
Now, you touched on air arrivals, and as you know, we have the loss of the United New York flight, and I'm sure others have sort of skipped around the seasonal thing. Has any thought been given to, say, subsidizing carriers in this season that we're no longer going to call winter?
Yeah, so again, a really good question. We actually do subsidize some carriers. We have what are known as MRGs, minimum revenue guarantees, with airlines that are assuring that we have the service, and but those minimum revenue guarantees are maxed out, and so we have to improve demand. That's what the solution to the airline problem is improving demand and getting more people to get on airplanes to come to Bermuda. The airline industry is a very fickle group. If they believe that they believe that demand is there, they will increase capacity. If they don't think that the demand is going to be there, they will pull capacity and lift and redeploy it. And it's all about the bottom line for them. So they can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on whether your economy is going up or your economy is going down.
And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
The Bermuda FEI World Horse Jumping Challenge Category A 2014 event concluded at the National Equestrian Center on Vesey Street yesterday. After 4 rounds, Carissa Rebane and Hausiki van der Verheck finished first, with Philip Carrere riding Emerson finishing in second. Rebane finished with a clear round time of the 4 rounds with a time of 99.56. Carrere and Emerson had a time of 88.99, but they had 4 penalty foul points. On Saturday at the National Sports Center, the Bermuda School Sports Federation held their all-star matches. In the primary school girls match, the East defeated the West 5-2. The West defeated the East 7-5 in the primary school boys match. The middle school girls match saw the West defeat the East 5-2. The middle school boys match saw the West defeat the East 2-0. The senior school girls East team defeated the West team 7-1, and the senior school boys West team defeated the East team 3-1. Yesterday in Bermuda Football Association First Division action at Malabar, Ty Vince Douglas gave the Boulevard Blazers the lead in the 16th minute. Douglas doubled the lead in the 23rd minute, and Ian Cope would make it 3-0 to the Boulevard Blazers in the 75th minute. But Jonte Pearson would pull a goal back for Ireland Rangers in the 88th minute as the Boulevard Blazers came away with a 3-1 win. In other First Division action, it was St. David's 3, Young Man Social Club 2, Devonshire Colts 2, Wolves 0, Paget Lions 2, Somerset Eagles 3, Crossroads 0, BAA 3. At the Bernard Park in Premier Division play, Pete Robbie gave Flanagan's Onions the lead in the 14th minute. However, Tyrell Burgess equalized for the North Village Rams in the 32nd minute. Jerron Dickinson gave the North Village Rams the lead in the 52nd minute before Tekiai Walker put the North Village Rams up 3-1. Vincent Miners Jr. pulled a goal back for Flanagan's Onions, but player coach Ralph Beam restored the North Village Rams 2-goal lead when he scored in the 83rd minute as the North Village Rams defeated Flanagan's Onions 4-2. In other Premier Division action, yesterday it was Dandytown Hornets 3, PHC Zebras 1, Southampton Rangers 2, Robin Hood 2, and on Friday night at the Somerset Cricket Club, it was Somerset Trojans 1, St. George's Colts 1. Brian Herberty and Rosanna Hoy are the 2015 Fairmont to Fairmont Road Race male and female champions. Herberty crossed the line in a time of 39.58, with Jay Donowa finishing second in 40.21, and Evan Norday finished third in a time of 42.41. Hoy was the first female finisher and sixth across the line in a time of 45.31. Dion Brewery was the second female finisher and 13th overall, recording a time of 47.47, and Carista Dyer finished as the third female finisher and 15th overall with a time of 48.10. Jaden Ming won the junior race, crossed the line in a time of 8.51. Ryan Otterbridge finished second in a time of 9.03, and Sejan Harvey finished third in a time of 9.07. Lindsay Palmer was the first junior female finisher, clocking a time of 9.42. She was the 11th overall. Jessie Marshall was the second female finisher at the junior division and 16th overall for a time of 10.14. And Jade Johnston finished as the third female finisher and 20th overall, clocking 10.32. The harness pony racing season continued at the National Equestrian Center on Vsb Street yesterday. Ernest Painter in the bike of Smooth Operator won Heat 4, the 108.3 to 110.3 time bar class, clocking a time of 109.1. Carista Rabane in the bike of Simsfield's Hard Times finished second with the same time. Aaron Medeiros in the bike of Tea Time won Heat 5, the 108.3 to 110.3 time bar class, crossing the line in a time of 110.2. Iron Mike and Tyler Lopes finished second in a time of 112.2. And Colonel J with Arthur Hurst in the bike finished third in a time of 112.3. Gabriella Arnold contributed to her school, Marian University's Division I Cyclocross Team's 2015 Collegiate National title. Arnold finished 15th overall with a time of 48.40. She was the fifth finisher for Marian University as they competed in Texas. The 2014-15 mountain bike season continued with 94 riders taking to the course designed at Admiralty House yesterday. Matthew Oliveira won the male A race, clocking a time of 50.42. He completed 13 laps. Robin Horsfield finished in second in a time of 54.12. He also completed 13 laps. Shaquan Richardson finished third with a time of 52.22, having completed 12 laps. Karen Badage won the female veteran division. She recorded a time of 44.36 after 9 laps, while Karen Smith clocked 44.07, completing 8 laps, finishing in second. In bowl hockey action at the PCC hockey rink yesterday, Team Smitty are the 2015 Bermuda Bowl Hockey Association's War on the Floor champions. This after they defeated Team Sweeney 3-2 in the final. J.M. Tremblay scored twice to lead Team Smitty to victory, while Andrew Berner added the other. Ed Sweeney and Joe Neal scored a goal each for Team Sweeney. In field hockey action, a total of 30 goals were scored in 6 matches over 2 days. In women's division play, Rice Trott gave the Wildcats the lead in the 6th minute, scoring from a penalty corner. Megan Troke equalized for the Ravens, scoring from a field goal in the 35th minute, but Ashley Steed would score a field goal in the 67th minute for the Wildcats in their 2-1 win. In other women's division action, it was the Swallows 2, the Ravens number 2 team 2, Bluebirds 0, Budgies 7, Canaries 2, Longtails 1. In men's division play, it was the Polecats 1, the Spartans 6, the Upstarts 5, and the Spartans 1. The Bermuda motocross racing season continued with action at the Motorsports Park in the East End yesterday. Zeno Tucker recorded 3 wins in the 65cc class, with Keon Glassford winning the 85cc class for the day with 3 wins. Zenday Fubler won all 3 races in the C class, with Tariq Bell winning all 3 races in the B class. The over 30 class saw Ben Zula ride to victory on the day, recording 3 wins. Turning to netball, the Nets Whites were crowned the under-12 double elimination Unity Netball champions after defeating the North Village Lady Rams 7-2 at Bernard Park on Saturday. The Young Men's Social Club Bluebirds Juniors were crowned the under-16 Unity champions after they defeated the Signwork Nets 9-8 in the final. The Young Men's Social Club Lady Bluebirds were the 2015 Bermuda Netball Association's Who's Who senior champions after going undefeated on Saturday evening. I'm Earl Baston reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Tuesday, January the 13th, there will be a mix of sun and cloud, 1 or 2 showers with a few showers late night. Winds southerly, moderate, veering south-southwesterly by noon. We are expecting a high near 74 and a low near 66. This weather report is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Monday, January the 12th. I'm Charles Webb.